In this video, I will demonstrate how you can create a business object layer for your mobile application using a REST-JSON web service. To create this business object layer, we will use the ADF Mobile Persistence Sample, which comes as a free JDeveloper extension. So the starting point is a web application where we have exposed department and employee information as a REST web service. And this is the class that is used for this. You can see the REST resources, read deps and amps as a get method, write deps as a put, and remove deps as a delete to actually perform this. So if we would execute the read deps and amps in our browser, here we have the URL. You can see the JSON payload. We have department information and we have nested employee records. So we're going to create this business object layer based on this RESTful web service. So we go to JDeveloper, create a new mobile application, mobile REST demo, click finish. Click new, and we'll click the ADF Mobile category under business tier. This category shows up because we have installed the ADF Mobile Persistence extension. So we'll use the first wizard, and the first step to do is to actually create the URL connection for this RESTful web service. So call this localhost. Test the connection, that's fine. And now we have to actually enter this read REST service call. So the wizard can actually discover the data objects, the Java classes that we want to generate based on this web service, and also the underlying database tables to store the same data so we can work in offline mode. So we can add a resource, go to the browser, and we'll copy and paste this second part of the URL. Go back to JDeveloper. You can enter this here and click next. So it executed the web service under the covers in the wizard and identified both departments and employees. And we will give nice singular class names for the Java data objects that will be generated for this. And then we can click next. So we have department and department ID is the primary key. And we can go to employee and we can say employee ID is the primary key. We can also change the types. For example, we know that hire date is a date, so we can actually specify this as a date. So we will get a calendar in the generated application. And this is a string. In real life it's a number or an integer, so we can change that as well, although that doesn't really matter in this situation. Click next. Here we can specify child accesses. We have a master data relationship between department and employee, and we need to specify the matching attributes so the local SQLite database can restore this master data relationship when we are in offline mode. Here we have the panel to specify all the REST resources for the various CRUD operations. Of course, the read operation, the find all resource, is already filled in because we use that to discover the department and employee. And now we can specify additional resources for create and delete, update, etc. So this is write deps, as we have seen in that Java class. Use that here, use it here. And for delete it was remove deps. Okay. The request type defaults are okay, so we don't need to change that. We can set the sort order. We want to sort by department name. And we can set the payload date format. As you can see in the background, we still see the example JSON payload, and the date format is first the year, then the month, then the date. So to convert that properly, we specify that date format. We don't have any date times, so we can skip it, the date time format. Now we have to specify the parameters that we have to pass in, the request parameters. The first read find all method does not have any parameters, but the write department has one parameter, which is named JSON, and here we want to pass in the serialized data object, so the department entity instance serialized to JSON. And we want to do the same with remove depths. So again, the name is JSON and the value is the serialized data object. Okay, here we have some settings that we can change, but we'll just click finish. And now a number of files are generated. They're all listed here at the bottom, but we can take a look at the most important ones. So we have the department Java class that is generated with all the attributes, and a list to see the employees within the department. And similar, we have the attribute here for employee, and date, integer, string. We also generated a SQL script to create the two tables, so we can store the data coming from the web service in the local SQLite database, so we can also work in offline mode. And we have generated this mapping XML file that actually defines the mapping between the payload, the data object attributes, and the underlying columns in the database tables, as you can see here. Okay. So we have the mappings, and we have the CRUD methods and the find methods that need to be executed against the remote REST web service. So basically here you see all the information that we entered in the wizard. So the URI, of course we have to use the connection name, localhost, the request type, and here you can see the write methods that actually also need this parameter. So all this information is read at runtime by a so-called persistence manager, because we have also generated a department service class. This department service class extends from the entity CRUD service, and the entity CRUD service by default will perform all the CRUD operations against the local SQLite database. But we have also configured a REST-JSON persistence manager, and this class actually reads at runtime this persistence mapping information, so it knows that when we do an insert in our UI, we need to invoke the write depths RESTful web service, etc. And the same for find all, etc. So really this is the whole business object layer is now in place. What we can do now is create a data control, and now we can either create the user interface using drag and drop from the data control palette. You can see here the department service. You see the department and the nested employees. So we can do that with drag and drop, but the persistence extension, the persistence sample extension also comes with a ADF Mobile User Interface generator, and that's the one we can also use. And that will not be shown in this video, because the other video that comes with this persistence sample already shows how to create the complete user interface.